Hey everybody, what is up? Wavejump here and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be covering FallingBlock or FallingSand. Thank you for 740 subscribers as always, and I should go ahead and mention, if you're familiar with 1.11 or 1.10, you may remember this thing called FallingSand. And FallingSand was this thing which would go ahead and allow you to say go ahead and have blocks fall from the sky or stay in midair and go ahead and be things that you could go ahead and sit through or stand in, or go ahead and have blocks go flying and do little animations like this. And I'm going to be going ahead and showing you today how to use the 1.12 version of this, which is FallingBlock. If you know FallingSand, it's very similar, with barely any changes, but I figured I would cover it anyways. So yeah, I am recording this a bit later than I typically record my episodes, as in it's like 2 days until this episode's supposed to release. And I made a little area over here for it this time. Thank you, as always, to Shatter and Bete Noir on Patreon for supporting me. These two people are amazing, and they help me go ahead and keep running my server, and they're both helping me work towards getting a new computer. If you want to go ahead and help me with that, you go ahead and click the link in the description down below, or go to patreon.com/wavejump. Alright, anyways, so let's go ahead and cover FallingBlock. So the first thing I'm going to cover is just the basic FallingSand command, and this just goes ahead and lets you summon any block and just have it fall like that. So what is this actual command? And you know what I should do? I should actually go ahead and I should have a little way to get in through the back here, because now that I think about it, this is probably very crucial to the actual thing. But anyways, I'm going to be going ahead and covering how we go ahead and do this. But you'll notice if I look at the command block here, it says summon Minecraft FallingBlock, right? So you should have, I should mention also, you should have decent knowledge of the summon command before you go through this. And then we're summoning it 10 blocks up and 1 block forward. So we're summoning it basically, you know, where it actually shows up as being summoned, right? So say in the, sorry for walking away from the microphone for a second. So say for this command block, it summons 1 forward and one forward and a bunch up, right? And we're doing the same thing for all of these commands. But of course you can type in any coordinates. And then I'm going to open up these. Now you may remember what these are if you watched the previous episode about Nbt Tags, but these go ahead and allow you to specify certain data about an item or a command, but you'll also recognize these if you ever looked at entity data. But anyways, I'm just doing is I'm summoning, you know, FallingBlock at that location. And then inside these curly brackets, I'm saying the block is, and I have to do capital B with block, colon, quote, Minecraft, colon, and then whatever the item ID is. In order to find that, you would press F3 and I believe H. And then when you go into your Minecraft block or item selector, you'll see the item name under the, you'll see the technical name under the item name. So for example, I wanted wool, I would just put wool instead of planks. But I'm doing planks anyways, and time, colon 1. Now time is one of the more important things in the FallingSand command to know, because, oh, and there that goes. Time goes ahead and dictates how long your block will stay existent. So essentially what happens is this time number counts upwards. So let's see, essentially, the way this would work is, say for example I set the time to 1, and it was just floating up in the air like this. Now what this will happen is it's counting up 20 per second, 20 ticks per second technically, and what will happen is once it hits 600 or 30 seconds, it'll go ahead and drop as an item. You could also set it to 0, and if I remember correctly, that'll just cause it to despawn immediately. But essentially it's important to go ahead and set your time parameter correctly to make sure that your block doesn't randomly just turn into an item at some point. What you could also theoretically do is, if your block was just stationary, you could go ahead and I think use entity data, constantly set the time to 1. I think I actually had that done in my previous FallingSand video, and I thought I'd cover FallingSand more recently, but then I went to go help somebody and realized my most recent video on it is 1.10, so that's why I'm making this one. But anyways, yeah, so there's the basic one, and the next one goes ahead and deals with the no gravity tag. So if you want a floating block or a block that say acts as a fake floor, right, you would go ahead and add this tag right here, no gravity. You could also go ahead and change the type of block. So for example here, right, default planks are just oak wood planks, but if I take a look and search planks under search here, you'll notice a bunch of different types of planks pop up, and if I look at the number here, 0 is oak wood, and then I have 2, which is birch wood, and 1, which is spruce wood, and all these other ones. So what I went ahead and do is I put in, I believe, 5 for the data here. So you just do that as an extra tag called data. And then I also added a tag called no gravity. Now, no gravity is pretty nice because it means, of course, that it will just float. So one way you could go ahead and utilize this is to make a fake floor, so that as soon as the player went ahead and walked over the block, they would just fall straight through. The one issue with that is that, as you will see here, if I go ahead and try and mouse over this, there's no hitbox for it. So that's just something important to know. And if I remember correctly, these don't, when you summon them up in the air, actually align exactly with the block. You can see it's a bit above it, so what you would then have to do is you'd have to find the exact decimal so that it would go ahead and fall onto, or it'd fall and hit the exact block. But it's possible to do anyways. And the next thing we're going to go ahead and cover is how to add motion. Now you'll notice here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my field of view to QuakeBro to make it a bit easier to see. You'll notice when I go ahead and I press this button here, a block gets summoned and flies forward like that. And you could actually go ahead and do all sorts of fun little things like this. But you could see you could actually draw out the path a bit, which is kind of interesting. But if I just summon a bunch of these, you could go ahead and see how far it'll really go based on the motion tags I applied. And so this is kind of almost the shape that it makes when you think about it. So the block kind of falls in this overall parabola, basically just a little curve like that. And you go ahead and do all sorts of other things you don't have to do with that sticking that exact motion. And let me show you how the motion tag works. Okay, so if we open this up here, basically this is the same as before, but with a different data tag. And I have a motion tag in here now. So you do is motion with capital M colon, and then you do 2 square brackets. And inside those square brackets, you put 3 numbers with comma separating them. So I'm going to do 0.001D, 0.01D, and 0.3D. And that went ahead and created, and I'm going to turn back down my field of view here now. By the way, the reason why my video settings are higher is because I think at nighttime this world looks a lot better. And for some reason, turning up graphics in terms of, say, smooth lighting doesn't actually kill my computer, but when I change things like render distance, it does. But anyways, I went ahead here, right, and I have the second summon one with the motion tag, and you'll notice it goes ahead and causes it to fly from up there to over there. So what I could do then is I go ahead and change its motion. So let me go ahead here, and I'll also go ahead and do a nice 5 and in the second one. Now if I remember quickly, the second one is Y, so it goes X, Y, Z, right? So Y will mean it goes a bit higher up than usual. And what's kind of fun about that one is that it'll go ahead and actually bounce. So let me go ahead and change it to 0.1, right? And you'll notice what'll happen here is that, okay, well that's actually a terrible example. But if you have it in a certain configuration, you could actually get the block to bounce. It's this really tricky thing to get aligned, but once you get it exactly aligned, it's a lot of fun. It's just, of course, difficult to pull off. If I were to go ahead and let's do that, and let's add some random motion to this, right? And let's see what happens. It went flying way over there, and you see it kind of skidded off of the pyramid there, which is pretty fun. So if you mess around with it enough, you get some really cool effects done with it. And I figured I should mention that because that's a cool thing to know about. Now I think that's going to be about it for this episode. Now I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and leave a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm really happy to go ahead and help you if you need help with any sort of command or want to figure out how to do something. Just always let me know in the comment section below. Say for example you want to know how to I don't know, create a fake floor, right? Which I granted showed in this video. I would go ahead and be happy to help you in the comment section below. I've done it with a ton of people. I've had over 1,000 comments, and I've over 2,000 comments I think even by this point, and I've read every single one of them. And I always appreciate your feedback, so let me know. I upload videos like this every Wednesday, or really every week. So if you want to go ahead and see more of this content, you go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I'll come up with more. Thank you, as always, for 740 subscribers, and thanks for watching. Bye!